What is up, everyone? Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to my last tournament video of the 2024 season. I'm now officially in the off season. Thankfully, I was lucky enough to cap off my season right here in my hometown in Grand Island, Nebraska for the Hall County Open. This was the first sanctioned event here in Grand Island in about 8 to 10 years from what I was hearing, and very grateful that I was able to be a part of it. Shout out to Chris Holton and Disc Gauntlet for helping set up this course and helping set up this tournament. Without them, it wouldn't be possible. So huge shout out to them. Overall, I thought the tournament was a big success. It showed that there is a disc golf community out here, and hopefully this is the first of many. Having this be my last tournament of the season, I'll do a little recap of what went on this season. I came into the season at a 905 rating. I hit the 900 benchmark last November, so pretty much a year ago. My 3 goals coming into MA2 were to be competitive, get a win in MA2, and then push my rating high enough to where I can compete in MA1 this next year. My first goal, I definitely hit. I had a lot of top 5 finishes, considering I played, I think, about 20 tournaments total this year. I only placed outside of the top 5 twice. I managed to get 4 wins this year, 2 being C tiers and the other 2 being B tiers. And with that, I managed to win my first 2-day event. So really excited about that over in Lake Hastings. Really great event out there as well. And for my third goal, I managed to bump myself all the way up with this last ratings update to a 927, which I think is good enough to bump myself all the way up into MA1 next year. Pretty nervous about it, but I think it'll be a great push for myself. I think moving up into MA1 next year is gonna help me a lot more than staying in MA2 this year. I could stay in MA2 for another couple months, but I think pushing myself all the way into MA1 next year is gonna help me a lot more than just staying in MA2. So I won't bore you guys with my goals for MA1. That'll be in another video, hopefully before the end of the year. I'll post a video kind of talking about what I'm gonna be doing with my bag, because I do plan on changing it up a little bit. And I'm also gonna be talking about my goals for MA1 and just my overall plans for the near future. But for right now, this video, I recorded the front 9 of the first round and then the back 9 of the second round. So you guys will get a full 18 holes, and I'll just be narrating it like I normally do. Before I do that, make sure you guys are liking, commenting, and subscribing. Turn your notification bell on. Hopefully I'm going to be posting a lot more as the year wraps up, and yeah, let's get into the video. Here we are starting off on hole 3, which is our hole number 1. But I managed to get with the TD himself, Chris Holton, on my card, and he was definitely not warmed up. Apparently neither was I, because that was a pretty bad backhand. We have Rob Hruska, I believe that's how you say his name, going with the chip forehand to stay safe, and Chase here lacing it right down the fairway, exactly what you want to do on this hole. Like I said, a terrible backhand and unfortunate branch there. I definitely thought I would be parked there. Left myself with about 30-40 footer and never really gave that one a chance. Came out really early. Next hole is a nice short little like 150 foot hole, if that, and Chris showing us exactly what you're supposed to do on the right side. Just a nice little hyzer. I ended up almost blasting that truck. I should have gone with the hyzer, but I was afraid of the hill rolling down. And as I mentioned before, or actually I don't know if I mentioned, but it rained the day before pretty much all day and all night. So here I am kind of trying to test the footing here. And I just absolutely shank it. Definitely had a little more confidence than I probably should have. And I ended up hitting first available and taking my PD2 here, trying to get that skip over to the left, and I do, leaving myself with probably about another 35-40 footer to try to save par here. And again, gave it the height that time, just ended up pulling it right. The putt hasn't been feeling too great lately, but we move on the next hole, and I absolutely pipe this right down the fairway with my FD1 and skip up to about 5 or 7 feet. Really solid to get a birdie here to try to erase the 2 strokes that I'm over par with already. Moving on to the next hole, trying to get back-to-back birdies here. Taking my MD5 again on the forehand, and I push this one just a little bit too straight. You can see here I'm trying to just straddle out because there's leaves right in my way of the basket. I'm only about 15-20 feet, but pretty obstructed here, and I end up trying to go right through these trees. Pretty solid putt there. kind of thankful that the branches knocked that down a little bit. I think I was definitely hitting band, but way to erase those two over par strokes and get back to even. And we have our first par 4 of the day. I think just about under 500 feet, and we end up with an unfortunate lie behind this pine, and I take my drop and just forehand it right up to the pin, leaving myself with about a 20-footer for another birdie. Feeling pretty confident. And what you guys didn't see there is I technically made that putt, but it was bottom right, and these veteran baskets just ended up spitting it right back out, which technically it's a bad putt. But we move on to the next hole, and you see my expression there. I thought I had a really good ace run there, but the basket was just another 10-15 feet behind that. End up leaving with another straddle putt, and apparently I should just be straddle putting now because I've made both of those and I missed all 3 of my regular putts. But moving on to this next hole, I took my FD3 with a forehand, just straight into a headwind, and it kind of took it way off to the right, leaving me with about a 50-footer. And I absolutely smashed the basket with a tactic into a headwind as well. I wanted to run a normal putt, but I was trying to lay up, not gonna lie. But that headwind definitely scared me, and we ended up catching the putt. So we'll take it. Moving on to the next hole, another short little one here, and left myself pretty short because I was scared of that OB. You can see the sidewalk there, just OB right behind the basket. Again, I'm only about 20 feet from the basket, if that. This little chip forehand up there, and we take the par there. Next hole, Chase smashing a forehand right down the middle, doing exactly what I wanted to do. And I didn't take account for that T sign being in my swing because I was too worried about the footing, but we managed to somehow roll at least halfway up the fairway. We go forehand again with a drop, and I square the tree on the right. Pretty unfortunate there. All we can do now is just scramble to try to save the bogey, and I smack another tree with my tactic. So now we have this really long putt for a bogey save, and somehow that one goes in, but my other ones don't. All right, so we finished the front 9 of that first round, and at the moment I'm sitting at 1 under after taking that bogey there, but I ended up finishing the round 2 over, which at first I didn't love. I definitely thought I played like an 880, 870 rating. I didn't feel great, but we were the first group to finish, pretty much. We were definitely one of the first. We were playing pretty quick, and I was on my lunch thinking I was going to be on Chase card if I'm lucky, and I somehow ended up at 2 over and a tie for second place. I don't know how. Leader played pretty hot. He shot 2 down. Shout out to Micah, which at this point in the round, I am sitting at 2 over, still a couple strokes back in the leader, but 9 holes left to play, and we're trying to fight for that number 1 spot. So we move on to hole 13, I believe. Short little 260-foot hole, and I just yanked this mid-range off to the right. Wasn't too confident with the footing there, leaving myself with about a 30-footer uphill. Gave it the height, but it was just left, and we ended up taking a par there. This is your leader, Micah Henshin. I think that's how you say his last name. Definitely took that one off a little early, and we have Rye here, who's actually making a really solid push to get up into first place, going up and over all the trees there. And Thomas Reed trying to do the same thing here. I think he ended up just a little bit short, if I remember correctly. And myself going right up the gut. I really liked the line, but that hill it let us get up to the top of the hill, but that's still about 40 short, maybe 30 feet. And we have Mitch here, who absolutely blasted one into the trees on the right, but somehow ended up, I think, with the only birdie on the card for this hole. That one was a little unfortunate to miss. The putt felt really solid, but just low. Nothing you can do about that. Moving on to the next hole, end up smashing one all the way down, really solid there. And shout out to Mitch here. He threw he hit first available, but he threw a really solid roller shot to get all the way up to the pin for a birdie look. And this is mine, and I clank it off the band. Pretty upset there. I end up tapping the par out, and not gonna lie, pretty disappointed to not be able to take that one. Moving on to hole 17 of the course. Rye absolutely smashing this one to get all the way pretty much parked right next to the pin. And Micah here, still your first place, and he does not make it past the guardian tree there. He ends up being a little bit short. And this was one of my better drives of the day. Absolutely got a hold of the Enigma. I was hoping to miss that tree, and I did skip off the basketball court and end up leaving myself with about a 20-footer that I somehow made for the birdie. And here Micah is making up his bad tee shot with a great forehand flex to be absolutely parked under this pin. Really solid hole to be parked on. And here I am taking my upshot from hitting this first available tree. I actually thought I was going to make this off the upshot, but I end up leaving it a little bit short and kind of a pitiful jump shot. I end up tapping out the bogey there. We're on hole 18 now, and I am about 6 strokes behind the leader. Rye making a solid comeback. He's only 3 back of the leader with a couple holes left to play. And yeah, I was feeling pretty decent at a top 3 finish here as long as I kept it and didn't make any mistakes like Micah did actually on this hole. He ended up throwing OB, and Rye is absolutely going to take advantage of that, playing it safe, but also kind of aggressive, taking his overstable mid-range and skipping it all the way to the left. All I have to do is get this in bounds, and I definitely don't do that. I let it go early. You see I'm a little frustrated with myself. It was early and low. Micah barely skimming by the OB and kicking in safe. I unfortunately do not. I hit first available there. Really unfortunate to take another OB stroke there. I'm pretty upset at this point. You can see me just quickly taking another disc and just throwing it at the basket. And I tap out for a 6 there, which was not great. And then I end up moving on to the next hole with another forehand and just let it go a little bit early, leaving me with an obstructed putt. Going scuba here to try to somehow save a birdie. And I gave it a pretty solid bid. It was just a little bit low. And at this point, as you can see, it's raining and Rye is still pushing for that number 1 spot. He's giving Micah a run for his money, and he ends up absolutely parking this hole. Micah follows that up with a drive right into the floor. I'm sorry, Micah, you played great this weekend, but these tee shots are not doing you any favors. And they're not doing me any favors either because I absolutely just smacked first available. And yeah, after that upshot, I'm not gonna lie, I was pretty pissed at myself. Did not play it at all how I wanted. I was, after taking the 6 on 18, pretty unfortunate there. I'm way over par. I'm nowhere near top 3 anymore. I'm fighting for last cash at this point, and I end up just parring out. I think I took a bogey on 3 actually. My final round score being a 8 over overall at an 860 rated, roughly 860, 870. Didn't feel great, so I kind of didn't record the next few holes except for this last hole. And yeah, at this point, it's just a race between Rye and Micah. They're both, I think Rye has a 1-stroke lead. Somehow he ended up battling all the way back. He shot a really solid final round. And yeah, this is the last hole. This is the last hole of the tournament for me at least. And Rye ends up just kind of pulling his forehand just a little bit. He looks like he's just all right with that. He'll take his par and leave. And Micah really needing a birdie here to tie it up. And he ends up skipping, I think, into about 20 feet. Really solid drive there.
Too much weight.
Thomas here, we're all just trying to give it ace runs at this point. He gives it the height, sneaks through those trees there, just ends up a little bit right. Mitch here throwing a nice backhand. Trying to just float it over there. He's going to take his birdie and walk off the course. Me, I'm trying to go for the ace run, trying to give it all its glory. And I pull the exact same mistake, even further left this time.
Damn, that guy sucks.
So we end up finishing the round. Like I said, not happy with myself, but Rye, shout out to Rye. Great young kid. He's gonna be an awesome player. He is right now, but he's just continuing to improve. He shot a whopping 5 down, 995 rated, I believe his best rating so far this year, or overall, I think. And he ended up battling away into a tie for first place with Micah. Micah still didn't even shoot a bad round. He shot even par. But Rye managed to dig deep and come all the way back into a tie and push for a playoff, which is what you're seeing now. The playoff consists of hole 3, 4, and 17 and 18 on the loop, I think. We started off on hole 3. Rye looking a little shaky there. He pulls it just to the right, playing it safe. And Micah's going to take advantage of that and pipe this one straight down the middle, getting himself 3/4 of the way up the fairway. Rye is left with kind of a tough upshot, trying to get around these trees. And it looked like he just fluffed that approach. Not really sure what happened there. Micah's just going to lay this one up and force Rye to make a long putt. And unfortunately, he just never really gave that the chance. And Micah is your winner.
Hey, he didn't clank it this time.
Micah getting the win there, getting his revenge on me, and Rye unfortunately finishing in second again. I ended up beating both of them in the past couple tournaments, and yeah, like I said, Micah got his revenge. Rye still has to get his revenge on me and win the tournament, but it's definitely going to come. He's progressing really solidly. Really proud of both of those guys. They definitely played a lot better than me, at least for this weekend. But yeah, that was my last tournament of the season. It wasn't a great round to end off on. My first round I shot a 926, so I shot my rating, and my second round I think is definitely what stopped me from jumping all the way up to 930 rated at least. Like I said, I played really solid this past month, but just that last round didn't go my way at all. I could blame it on the rain. I could blame it on, the bad footing, but it is what it is. I just did not play up to my standards. So overall, some things to take away from that is I definitely need more distance. That's something that I'm heavily going to be working on this off season, as well as my putt. It's definitely a little shaky. I've been trying to work on it all year. I've changed it multiple times, which some may say that's a bad thing, some it's a good thing, but I'm just trying to continue evolving my form, evolving my putt to a point where it works for me. And it just so happened that this tournament wasn't working for me, but it is what it is. We're gonna move into the off season and continue to work on it. So very excited about that. But yeah, that was my last tournament of the 2024 season. So thank you for watching, and leave a like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video.